Welcome, everybody, to AubyNAussie. This is episode one, the
It
first
happened.
one.
It happened. It finally got everything together and it happened.
Ozzy, we have been talking about this for a long time.
Yeah, at least the last couple of days, I guess.
And since we're quarantined, what else are we going to do, right?
Worked perfect for me, actually, because I just moved to a new place. So excuse the traffic and the mess behind me. But it is what it is, I guess.
No, there's no mess behind you. I see a perfectly good-looking jersey and that sexy helmet back there.
I know. My buddy, goalie from hockey, Joel, he's a master with the airbrush. He's actually, there's another one coming. There is another one coming next season. Keep an eye out.
Dude, I'm going to have to get on that. I got to do something with mine. But like I said, welcome. This is our first episode, AubyNAussie. We're basically just a bunch of goofballs who are action sports enthusiasts who happen to participate in ice cross downhill. How did we met, 2015?
2015, 2016 season. Yeah, that was my first year in. So was that your first year as well?
No, actually, my first year was 2013. I was going down the St. Paul track.
Damn, you're a veteran by the time I got in then, eh?
You know what? You're catching me quickly because the older I get, you don't seem to get any older. You still stay the same.
Yeah, that's a lie. You're a bad liar there, buddy.
But so I mean, we met in Sherbrooke, 2015. Oh my gosh, I think of Sherbrooke 2015 and I think of the negative 40-degree Celsius weather.
Yeah, that was my first time experiencing that, and I was not prepared. I had jeans and a hoodie, and that was actually it. So she was a nippy one.
Well, you were coming right from Australia, or were you coming from another race?
So I flew into Bathurst, New Brunswick the week before that for my first race. It was still minus 30 there. And then, ended up going to Sherbrooke for the second one, which was just as cold.
But you know what? It was obviously a good experience because you got hooked on the sport. You wanted to keep participating. Obviously we met each other, so it couldn't have been that bad.
It's all downhill from there. What are you talking about? No, I fell in love with it the first time down a track. I was standing on the start gate and I was like, what the hell am I doing here? I'm like, this was cold. I'm an idiot. And then, I just kind of got like 3 strides into it and had a smile on my face and then ate absolute shit. And I was just like, well, that was fun. Let's do it again. And then just kept going. Haven't stopped since. Haven't stopped crashing. Haven't stopped going back.
I love it. And that's hence the name Aussie Crasher, right?
It wasn't meant to be. It kind of fell into it. Like I didn't plan on crashing all the time, but it does make some good footage. So I'm not going to hold it back if I don't have to. Plus we wear enough safety gear and padding that doesn't really hurt. As long as you don't hit something dead on, you're pretty okay.
You're good. Like I always tell everybody, I would rather fall on ice than fall on cement or dirt any day of the week.
Oh yeah. The fact you just can keep sliding and just get back up is fantastic.
Yep.
But so I guess for people that kind of haven't seen ice cross before, well, a little bit about it. Let's go. A bit of a background on it.
Well, the big question, right? What is ice cross downhill? To put it shortly, ice cross downhill is 4 guys or 4 women going down a track of not just any track, but an icy track of obstacles, jumps, bumps, hairpin turns, step ups, drop downs. Any type of obstacle you can think of. These people are not just riding through it, but they're skating through it. So, ice cross downhill is basically chaos on ice, and it's unlike anything I ever saw when I first started. And I don't know how it's not in the Olympics already, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. It would be good. It would be fantastic to see that in the Olympics. Actually, my main reason for studying ice cross was because I wanted to represent Australia in the Olympics, and I thought it'd be awesome because no one else was doing it. And I was like, how hard can it be? Boy, was I proven wrong.
Turns out it's a lot more hard than you think it is.
Yeah, man, YouTube does not do it any justice, or like Red Bull TV, like you just can't tell the elevation changes from those camera points.
No, very true. And I mean, watching a race live is unbelievable experience as well.
Yeah, even if you like, you didn't quite make Saturday night racing, but you still get to enjoy the atmosphere. It's so good just getting in with the fans. Like some crazy fans out there, some hardcore guys standing out there in -30 for a few hours, just watching guys run past as fast as they can. It's pretty good. We got some of the best fans, I reckon.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, the fans are unbelievable. But I mean, for the people who obviously may or may not know what ice cross is, they have specific rules that we have to follow. I mean, the point system, the ranking system. Luke, I don't know if you want to touch base on a little bit on the rules.
Yeah, so mainly my understanding of the rules is at least just you can't be malicious to anyone. No pushing, no pulling, no shoving. You can protect your line. Hurting someone in a way. Anything to be classified as dangerous, I guess, is probably the best way to put it.
And I mean, obviously, there is a point system. That's how you get ranked. And with the different levels of races that we have nowadays, we have the ATSX 100, the ATSX 250, the 500, and the big races, which is the 1,000 races. Obviously, if you come in first, you get the most amount of points. Come in last, you get the least amount. They're staggered throughout. And at the end of the season, you basically are ranked on your world ranking and your world championship. World ranking basically being all the points that you've combined in the last 52 weeks or the last year. World championship strictly just being the races that have happened this past season. So it can get a little bit confusing from time to time. I know, talking to a couple of other athletes, they still don't really know the ins and outs of the ranking systems. But then even within the rankings, you have country quotas, which, I mean, Luke, I don't know how it is in Australia there.
Yeah, so country quotas was the best thing I ever read in that rule book. So any country that doesn't already have people in the top 64 can put in 2 athletes, just anyone. And that's kind of how I got into it.
And you mean top 64 within the world ranking, right?
World rankings, correct, yeah. Yeah, as long as you don't have 2 athletes in the sport, you can put 2 national wildcards in. And that's kind of how I got in. And I'm trying to push so I can get the top 64 in the world rankings so I can give 2 wildcards out to people because I'd love to get more Aussies in it.
Oh, see, I like that. And hearing that from your side, because it allows you so much growth in the sport, right?
Definitely. Like you can have people that, to get into that top 64, it's a lot of work. Like there are a lot of amazing athletes out there and it's so incredibly hard to get into. So the wild cards there is really good to get people that want to try it, but haven't quite gotten that, the background in for it. Just a chance to give it a try and see if it clicks for them, see if it works for them. The sport isn't for anyone. I've taken a dozen other Aussies now to races and some of them love it. Some of them get on the track once and then you see them in the change room after their first run because it's just not for them. It's definitely a sport you can either do or can't do, or you love or hate. There's no in between. You can't dawdle down a track unless you're half speed, and but that's just because he's got magical skills.
And you know what? For you guys who are just tuning in as well, like you will get a chance to meet half speed later on. I guarantee it.
He's an absolute legend.
But yeah, so I mean, that was for your side of the country quota. For me, being out of the U.S. here, I got close to 30 guys fighting for only 7 spots. If we have a country association like we do in the U.S., we have the United States Ice Cross Association. You get your top 7 guys who are ranked to be automatically invited to all the races. But if you are outside that 7, then basically you have to rely on a wild card from a Riders' Cup race, which can be very, very difficult to get. I myself have been fortunate enough to where I started the sport early enough that I've just progressed as we went. I've always ended up getting a wild card every year. And then moving forward into next season. Next season should be my first year where I actually meet the country quota and don't have to rely on wild cards for once. So pretty proud of that.
Should be proud of that. With a head as big as yours behind you, man, you should be going that fast downhill. All that weight in it.
I wish I still looked like this. This, I think, is like a 10-year-old photo. I don't know if I still got the same.
Yeah, didn't that one come off Tinder? I really can't remember. Anyhow.
Ooh, yeah, I think so. I think you're right on that one.
So even though it is a, I guess some people classify as an extreme sport, there is a lot of gear associated with it. So we can get down the hill safely and get up and do it again. So I know I've got, you can probably see behind the full face helmet. You're allowed to wear hockey helmets. I did my first season and it was terrifying because you still fall and you hit that face cage and you like rattle yourself in the chin and you get up a bit woozy. But yeah, full face, you feel pretty invincible. But there is a plethora of other safety gear that is either on the list of recommended or not. So I know you wear pretty standard stuff, TJ, because you've got a pretty good connection with some hockey gear.
Just like you said earlier, you started off with a hockey helmet. I did as well. It was what I was most comfortable with. I grew up playing hockey, so I tried that. But like you said, you take one spill to the front of your face and you get that cage in your jaw, and I couldn't go back. I had to switch to a full face just like you. And fortunately, both you and I found those 661 helmets, and I don't know if I'm ever going to go back, man. They're so light, and I just love the way
They
they feel.
fit so well, and they're not a big helmet, and you just have so much mobility in it. But it's fantastic for me because it stopped people from seeing my face, so you couldn't see the horrible faces I'd make on the way down the track as I was shitting myself. So yeah, so I actually got some good photos after that first season.
Well, and with the goggles too, they can't actually see that your eyes are closed the whole time, right?
I know it's so good. People always like, "Wow, you must sneeze a lot in that track because your eyes are always closed." No, that's just me actually just hoping to skate down by feel because I don't trust myself with the eyes open.
But honestly, besides the helmet, which is a lot of just personal preference, guys are wearing shoulder pads, which could either come from hockey or they can come from skiing, downhill biking. Same thing with the elbow pads. Gloves. I see a lot of people wearing football lineman gloves, soccer goalie gloves, hockey gloves. And then you start talking about different types of hip pads, which come down to, I wear a hockey, not necessarily a breezer. It's more of like a girdles, I think is what they call it, with a shell on the top. I know some guys, I think Cameron Oz only wears what they call G-forms, which are just small, soft pads on the hips. But then you have to have some sort of knee protection, shin protection, obviously skates. So, Aussie, I don't know if any of that differs from what you wear or not.
No, I actually wear quite a bit of the same stuff. So I have motocross one piece chest plate, shoulder pads, spine protector, all that's in one just because it's easy to travel around with, especially when you're traveling halfway around the world. I've got the NFL defenseman's gloves because they have a bit of padding right where the thumb kind of sits on your hand, and it's the place you always hit when you land. It's always bruised after an event, so that's kind of stopped that from happening. And yeah, I double up on a few pads actually. So I run G forms on under motocross knee pads because they articulate at the knee. And if you're wearing like a hockey pad and you go knee down and that top flips up and you go into a wall knee first, like you're not having a fun day. It's the worst,
Dude. And you got to stay protected, especially in that area.
Oh yeah, like if the worst thing, because some of the events are like week after week after week. If you're injured one event, like it can put the next month just really behind because you're not skating 100%. And if you're kind of worried about an injury, you kind of favor the weight off that. So you don't want to fall a certain way or like turn around a corner a certain style or something like that. So you can kind of really impact your performance.
It's the first episode. We have to introduce ourselves. So AubyNAussie, because I'm a gentleman, because I'm from Minnesota and it's Minnesota nice, I'll let the Aussie go first, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
It's just because it's ladies first, buddy. That's all it is. But no, so g'day guys, I'm Aussie Crasher, and yeah, I compete for Australia. I live in Brisbane, Australia, and I've been competing since 2015, 2016. My first race was Bathurst, New Brunswick, and I kind of got into sport because why not? Saw it on TV one day, and I was like, how hard can it be? And honestly, it's kicked my ass a couple times, so I haven't answered that one now.
My name is TJ Albrecht. I grew up here in Minnesota, born and raised. I started Crash to Ice in 2013. It was the first year I ever went down a track. It happened to be here in St. Paul. I did the same thing. I saw it on TV, I think in 2012, and I was like, oh God, I think that would be fun to do. I think I could do it. Gave it a shot, and it was a lot harder than I had anticipated. Took a lot of skills that first year, but we bounced back. We're hooked. And here we are. I mean, I've been doing it ever since. It's taken me around the globe. The people I've met, I mean, I have a best friend all the way across the globe in Australia.
You know other
So,
people here.
oh, I'm just excited. Happy to be here, bud. Happy to be here.
But no, so I guess growing up in Minnesota, you've always been on skates. Probably, I guess it's how you're born, right? They cut your umbilical cord with your first set of ice skates, then you keep going. Were you in the division that would play as a Duck in the Mighty Ducks? I know it was from that area.
You know, Mighty Ducks is what I always looked up to. I didn't even know what the NHL was when I was a kid. I just wanted to be a Mighty Duck, to be honest with you.
Honestly, same. Like I saw the Ducks, I was like, man, I want to skate through a shopping center so bad. Not the actual hockey pucks. I'm not that good at that. But skate through a shopping center be out of this world.
But yeah, I mean, growing up Minnesota, obviously you think hockey right away. But extracurricular, I did the skiing, the snowboarding, BMX biking, downhill biking, rollerblading, skateboarding. You know, I was at skate parks when I was younger, always at the hockey rinks. I was always active, always doing something, always looking for essentially that adrenaline rush, something that you can either do by yourself or you can do with a team. You know, it doesn't really matter. Indoors, outdoors, warm weather, cold weather, I was doing it all. So growing up, basically you could just categorize me as active and wanting to have a good time.
Yeah, my background was inline hockey. Started when I was about 7 in this tiny town of Catherine in the Northern Territory. If you're looking for it, you go past Whoop Whoop into the middle of nowhere and then keep going.
Whoop Whoop.
Because it is literally in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, it's the only thing they had. They had a skating rink. And that was like pretty much it for the town. I don't know why they had it, but it was fantastic. Started that and then, kind of ice skated for the first time in mid-teens. I don't know. On my first set of ice skates, like late teens. Played my first ice hockey game at like 19, 20. It's the first time I was like really on ice skates, like to do something instead of just go down a rink.
Right now.
There's no rinks in Oz, man. Like for me, there's a rink 45 minutes either way from me, and it's so hard to get ice time. It's ridiculous. And even in summer, sometimes they have to cancel the games because it gets too hot and they can't keep the ice frozen, which you kind of need when you got an ice rink. But yeah, so I guess the thing that kind of led me into ice cross was brother's buddy, street luges, and he was like, "Do you want to give it a try?" I'm like, laying down for a sport, I can sign me up. And yeah, it was good fun.
Insane.
Did a competition and absolutely loved it. And then thought, well, I've got my skates still sitting here, may as well give them a try. Did my first downhill inline competition, came second. I was like, that was pretty fun. And yeah, then I kind of ended up doing ice cross. But it's going well for me because the downhill is progressing as well. So last year I did the World Roller Games for Australia. So that was my first time ever in a downhill setup on a downhill hill. And yeah, it's kind of it's a bit different ice cross, but you're going a lot faster, so the adrenaline's still there. But I do miss the jumping. The best part about ice cross for me is just that silence in the air when you make that transition absolutely perfect, and it's just dead silent, and then you just hit it, and you know you just boosted it.
Whether you're Eagle Eli or you're the windows down, regardless, it's a good time, right? If
you're ripping the Running Man across the tabletops, you know you're having a good time.
Well, that's fantastic, man. I mean, I look back and I think about how I actually got into this, and shout out to Allison Hogan. She was my roommate at the time. She actually signed me up without me really knowing, because I've been interested in it, and I, was being cocky. I was like, I could probably do that, no problem. But yeah, she signed me up. They pulled my name out of a hat. And at the time, you had to skate on the flat ice qualifiers. So it was basically an obstacle course at a hockey rink. You had to be one of the faster ones to make it through and actually get a chance to go down the track. So I was lucky enough to make it through, get down the track. And I mean, like I said earlier, once you get a chance to feel that rush of going down a real ice cross track, you'll never go back. I mean, I was hooked instantly.
Same. Mine was actually, yeah. So I actually signed myself up without me knowing. It was a big night. There were a couple of beers had. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, I just woke up the next day. I went to go pay some bills. I was like, this isn't right. And then I checked my bank statement. I was like, why have I got a ticket to Canada? What the hell is going on? And then apparently it was non-refundable, so I had to go then.
I mean, honestly, from where I started, from where you started, the sport within the last 10 years, I mean, I believe you talked to Jasper Felder, who was one of the first men in sport, and he'll tell you that first track was built out of ice they took from a fish market in Europe to where is today. We literally had a track inside Fenway Park in Boston. That's insane.
Custom built tracks on scaffolding, and it's just the guys that make the ice and the tracks have the craziest skills. Like the stuff they can pull off is incredible.
Those guys, that's AST Ice and Solar, right?
Correct. Yep. Yeah. Those guys do some amazing stuff. Like they can make some seriously fast ice.
And it, and we have to thank them all the time, because honestly, without them, we wouldn't have a chance to get on the track. And there is nothing like skating down an ice cross track.
Yeah, they do need to make the next couple of races a bit more extreme though. They've kind of dialed it back, and like the fear's not the fear's not quite there. Unlike Marseille that year, like I need that heart stopping. Like I think I'm gonna die if I do this wrong moment again.
But right, like you talk about Marseille, I mean, 10 years ago, they maybe had 1 or 2 stops only in Europe. Now we've been, I don't even know.
Yeah, I gotta.
US, Germany, Japan, Austria, France. That's just to name a few, to be honest with you, but the growth is tremendous. But not only that, but they're introducing kids events now at all these things.
Actually, the watching your juniors rip is kind of out of this world. Like there are kids there that I've never even been on ice skates by their age, and they're probably skating it faster than me. Like, and then actually watching some of the little kids. So I know the Duluth race, Montauk, the day after the race, they usually have like a kids event, and then just local kids come up, and every kid's 6 or 7 actually send in the doubles, like stuff that the adults can't even get over, and there's kids that young just fearless because they know they bounce and they just get back up and they just laugh. Like it was amazing to watch them go, and just watch them, as the sport picks up in 10, 15 years, they'll be up the top there, and they're going to take that sport to a whole new level that looking from now, you'd be like, how the hell do they manage that?
It absolutely blows my mind to see the skill level that a 6 or 7-year-old kid who had never been on an ice cross track before go down 1 or 2 times nice and easy, and all of a sudden on the 3rd time, like you said, he's sending the double jumps. He may not land them, but he's having a blast. He's smiling, he's laughing the whole time down the track. And that's where I want the sport to go. That's where I would like to see the sport, is to get the youth involved, to get kids involved, have it where you can have it every weekend in multiple states, not just for us extreme sports athletes, which we weren't even athletes 5 years ago. It was more of a hobby then.
Speak for yourself, buddy. I'm not an athlete. Just an enthusiast.
But exactly, a hobby, an enthusiast, and now all of a sudden we're considered pro athletes. So it's been quite a jump, but I love to see the progression, and I can't wait to see where it goes.
I know every time someone's like, "Oh, you're an athlete," I'm like, "Oh, you haven't seen me without a shirt. That's definitely a lie."
But you know what? The real kicker here is, it's a real sport once we're in the Olympics, and that's got to happen in the next 1 to 2 Olympics series, right?
Yeah, my knees won't last any longer than that. Neither will the rest of my body, actually.
You and me both. But regardless if you and I are racing, I mean, I know I want to at least be involved and try to get it so it's going to be an Olympic sport. I would know, or at least the people watching this, I'm assuming they would probably watch this sport if it was in the Olympics. I have a feeling it's pretty exciting to watch. That's why we're kind of kicking off episode 1 here. We're starting this dialogue, this conversation, this podcast. Let's have a good time, but let's be honest. Let's grow the sport. That's all we want to do, right?
Just want to skate fast and not fall.
I just want to skate fast and not fall. Yeah, right? And then
shout out to Half Speed for that one. Thanks, buddy.
But honestly, like, hey, Aussie, I love you, brother. AubyNAussie, I'm looking forward to doing many more episodes in the future. Shout out to, obviously your social media, my social media. You can catch me on Instagram at Auby1987, my Twitter Albrecht T. Essentially my last name right there, with an extra T at the end. YouTube, you just type in TJ Albrecht, you'll find me there. Facebook, same thing. Aussie.
Yeah, mine's nice and easy. Mine's Instagram's Aussie Crasher. YouTube is Aussie Crasher. Facebook is Aussie Crasher, and Twitter is Aussie Crasher. So it's nice and easy. Got to get in early. I
know, right? You got lucky with that. It's such a unique name, and you were able to just nab it right away. It's fantastic.
I don't know how, because like a lot of people crash, and there's a lot of Aussies out there. So I thought someone would put them together by that point. Guess not.
But well, hey, again, thanks everybody for joining us. Episode 1, AubyNAussie. Obviously, this one was more of just an introduction. Moving forward, we got a lot more about ice cross downhill, the shenanigans that go into ice cross downhill, a little bit of behind the scenes action. We'll have some special guests. But honestly, you know, we're here. We're passionate about the sport. We're here to grow the sport.
Yeah, man. I'm so happy we finally got this going. It's gonna be so good just to at least give it from a couple points of view, because you see it on TV and you're like, oh, that's actually pretty interesting. But like, you see the guys behind the scenes, and they're probably some of the best blokes you'll ever meet. So I'm really happy to be chatting to you about this one, and I cannot wait to get some of the more boys on. Man, there are some stories, and there are some accidents and some crashes, and just a bit of everything ready to go. So it's gonna be good.
Agree with you. I can't wait to get some of the other boys and some of the women on as well. But until next time, episode 2 coming out shortly. We'll kind of dive into a little bit of what happened last season, touch base on obviously the major topic, coronavirus, what that did, obviously how we're spending our quarantine time. But until then, you know, it's everybody's favorite ice cross ginger, TJ Albrecht, signing off.
I guess it's all downhill from here, isn't it? Let's go.
It's all downhill from here. Cheers, brother.
See you.